Google Quick Share for lawyers, cross-platform file sharing without compromising ethics. You've got an iPhone, your paralegal has an Android, and sharing a case file between them has always been a frustrating, time-sucking chore until now. Google's latest update to QuickShare has completely rewritten the playbook, and today we are breaking it all down. What it does, how to use it step by step, and most importantly, how to do it without violating your ethical duties. I'm Michael T.J. Eisenberg, and this is the Tech Savvy Lawyer. Let's get into it.
You know, for years, legal professionals have been totally stuck operating in two completely separate tech silos. I mean, picture this. You've got an iPhone, your paralegal has an Android, and trying to seamlessly share a massive case file or, say, a high-res exhibit photo, it was just a frustrating, time-consuming chore, right? But guess what? Google's latest updates to QuickShare have completely rewritten the playbook. They've built a true cross-platform bridge. So today, we're diving into this explainer to explore this incredible breakthrough. We'll go through exactly how to use it step by step, and most importantly, how to do it without compromising your strict ethical duties. Now, before we get into the tech weeds, I need to give you a quick but absolutely crucial reminder. This explainer is strictly educational. It's not legal advice. Because we're dealing with client confidentiality and constantly evolving tech, you must, absolutely must, verify your own state, local, and jurisdictional rules before you implement any new workflows in your firm, okay? Let's get to it. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the tech bridge, step-by-step workflows, and real-world law practice. After that, we'll dive into the ABA rules and compliance, practical security settings, and wrap it all up with a firm rollout checklist. So let's jump straight into Section 1, the tech bridge. Or, as I like to call it, QuickShare meets AirDrop. Look, we all know the old way of doing things. Emailing massive files to yourself, juggling those tiny, easily lost USB thumb drives, or relying on third-party cloud apps just to move a simple PDF from a Pixel phone to an iPad. It was agonizing. Well, the new way changes the game by using direct peer-to-peer connections. This is huge because the file transfer doesn't even route through Google or Apple servers. That's a massive upgrade for maintaining data privacy when you're handling highly sensitive client matters. So, who gets to use this? Honestly, if you or your staff have upgraded your hardware in the last year or two, you probably have this cross-platform magic sitting in your pocket right now. We're talking compatible devices like the recent Samsung Galaxy S and Z series, the Google Pixel 8, 9, and 10 families, plus major flagships from Honor, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo. And on the Apple side, any iOS device running the latest AirDrop enhancements is good to go for this two-way exchange. Pretty awesome, right? All right, let's move right into Section 2, Step-by-Step Workflows. Time for some tactical file transfers.
Okay, let's say you're sending from an Android to an iPhone. You just follow these 4 swift steps to bypass all that email friction completely. First, open the item on your Android device. Let's say it's a drafted brief, and just tap your standard system share button. Second, select the Quick Share icon. Third, your phone will scan the area, and when the nearby iPhone pops up on the screen, just tap its name. Finally, the person on the receiving iOS device simply taps to accept the transfer. Boom, it's literally that easy. The file instantly lands right in their Files or Photos app.
And honestly, reversing the maneuver is just as brilliantly simple. On the iPhone, you open the document, tap that familiar share sheet, and select AirDrop. Because of this new interoperability, the nearby Android device will actually show up right there as a viable AirDrop target. No kidding. You just tap the Android device's name, the Android user hits accept, and the transfer is done. Seamless.
Moving on to Section 3, Real-World Law Practice. Let's look at some actionable scenarios.
Think about this in the fast-paced environment of your actual practice. From courtroom strategy sessions to rapid client intake, these peer-to-peer transfers totally eliminate the need for cables or those clunky email attachments. Just imagine taking a photo of a signed retainer agreement on your Android and phone and beaming it instantly to your firm's iPhone-toting intake coordinator. Or what about cross-platform trial prep? You can pass last-minute demonstratives from an Android tablet directly to your co-counsel's iPhone without having to hunt down a secure Wi-Fi network. You can even shoot an explainer PDF directly to a client's phone right there in a meeting, no matter what operating system they use. It's a real game changer.
Now this brings us to Section 4, ABA Rules and Compliance. Time for the ethical scrutiny.
Okay, we absolutely have to talk about compliance. When it comes to ABA Model Rule 1.1 on competence, ignorance definitely isn't bliss. It's an actual ethical violation. Comment 8 specifically states that a lawyer's duty includes keeping abreast of the benefits and risks associated with relevant tech. You can't just blindly adopt a new file sharing tool because it's convenient. If you don't fully understand the privacy controls and visibility settings of QuickShare, well, you've got a competence issue on your hands.
Then there's Rule 1.6 on confidentiality. Under this rule, you are required to take deliberate, reasonable steps to safeguard client info. So what does reasonable actually mean here? Well, it means taking an extra 3 seconds to double-check the exact name of the recipient device before you hit send. Because, let's be real, the absolute last thing you want is a highly confidential brief accidentally beamed to some stranger's iPhone while you're sitting in a crowded coffee shop. It also means you really need to evaluate whether peer-to-peer sharing is even appropriate for your most sensitive materials, or if those should stay strictly locked down in your encrypted firm portals.
And finally, let's look at Model Rule 5.3. This one is a stark reminder that the buck stops with you. You carry the ultimate responsibility for ensuring your entire staff is using these mobile sharing tools securely. If your paralegals or intake coordinators are using their personal devices, a bring-your-own-device situation, you must have a written policy in place. That policy needs to govern exactly how they use QuickShare, which proves you're exercising appropriate oversight.
So this brings us to what is arguably the most vital question of this whole explainer. How do we actually translate these ethical rules into a secure, practical shield for our firm? How do we literally lock down these phones?
Let's find out in Section 5, Practical Security Settings. Time to talk about hardening our defenses.
All right, for the Android users in your firm, there are 3 vital settings you need to lock in to ensure your device remains practically invisible to unauthorized senders. First, dive into your QuickShare settings and change your visibility to contacts or hidden by default. Honestly, you should only open it up if you are in a completely trusted, controlled environment. Second, make sure your phone requires a device unlock to accept any incoming transfers. And third, from a workflow perspective, the very moment a client file arrives on your phone, get it out of that general downloads folder and move it straight into your secure encrypted document management app. Now, for the iPhones, the matching defensive protocols are just as critical. I mean, leaving AirDrop open in a crowded courthouse is a massive vulnerability. So your baseline default should absolutely be contacts only. If you absolutely have to use everyone for 10 minutes to, say, grab a file from opposing counsel, do it, get the file, and then immediately switch it back. And perhaps most importantly, you have to actively train your staff to blindly decline any unexpected AirDrop requests they might receive out in the wild.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 6, Firm Rollout Checklist, Tactical Deployment. If you want to safely upgrade your firm's mobile workflow today, you need a plan. So here is a precise 5-step checklist to get it done right. Step 1, inventory exactly who has what device. Step 2, force OS updates across the board, no stragglers. Step 3, mandate those default privacy options we just talked about, firm-wide. Step 4, actually hold a 30-minute team training session so your staff can practice these secured transfers. And Step 5, clearly define in writing which types of files are okay to share this way and which are strictly off-limits. Get that all on paper.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The technology to completely bridge the gap between Android and Apple devices is finally here, and it's literally sitting right in your pocket. The barrier is no longer the hardware. The only barrier left is implementation. So the question is, how will you lead the charge to securely modernize your firm's cross-platform collaboration today without sacrificing your ethical shield? It's time to dive into those settings and take control of your mobile workflow.
If you found this episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with a colleague who needs to stay ahead of the curve on legal tech innovation. Until next time, stay tech savvy and keep innovating.